There are stories that connect us to ourselves and to each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. Now, exclusively on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
Hello, Wanderers. It's Wednesday night. I am AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And we are here to wander with you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I think so. I'm happy to be in the studio with you.
I love you being in the studio with me. Insert heart eyes here.
Oh, like our guest last week, we were like blasting hearts on a screen. Technology has so many things to just blast emotional energy.
I know, it's so good. Because that's all the magic stuff.
It is all the magic stuff.
Speaking of magic, her last name was Magic.
That was fun.
If you guys did not go check it, here we go. This is how we're going to have the evening start out.
Yes, but we're working out the kinks.
We're erasing all of that. Last week we had this guest, Nicole Magic. She was awesome. If you have not checked it out, if you were unable to attend live, you can always go visit kgradb.com. All of the archives are hanging out there. And also, there's a promo code Wanderer if you decide to become a member. That's always a good idea, if you ask me. All the archives, all the other shows, all the back behind the scenes things.
And there's a lot of good guests we had.
Mm-hmm. She was great. I'm really excited for tonight's guest too. But as we begin, let's welcome all the wanderers piling into the chat rooms. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. We can't have a wandering show without the wanderers.
No, it's kind of a vital part of. It's the lovely part of being live is feeling all the energy of everyone out there listening at the same time that we're talking.
Yes.
It's just incredible. Think all the wares across the world.
So good. So good. Hi, welcome, welcome. So tonight we have a brand new guest and we'll introduce her here shortly. But in the meantime, this week, it has been something else. You've been going through some stuff.
Yes.
I've been going through some stuff.
Yes.
There was this shift. I don't know if you felt it, but I think it was yesterday morning. I woke up and when energy is even quiet, everything is like eerily silent. It was like that yesterday when I woke up. And I was like, okay, what is going on? What shift took place? I was like, did we jump timelines last night? Because it felt like that, like new energy, but also very, really eerie, quiet. And I was like, something just feels off. Something just doesn't feel right. Maybe this was the day before. Either way, I think it was the day before. It just felt really, really different. And even when I got in my car to run an errand, the roads were quiet. There's like hardly anyone out. The air was kind of like dense and thick, and it just felt really off. Even my partner texts me after he goes off to work really early. He wrote me and said, something feels very off today. And he's a muggle. Like he likes conspiracy stuff and spiritual stuff, but he's more of a science guy. So when he said that, I was like, Oh my gosh. Okay. There's something definitely going on. Did you feel anything like
So
that?
it's been interesting because I have had a bug, and so my senses were different anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
I have felt like this dampening of my hearing, not, and it didn't necessarily mean that I wasn't hearing. It's just there was this dampening, and
Mm.
that may be aligned with what you were talking about. I had really vivid dreams. I was dreaming in, I would say it like in energetic ways, but it was like school or instruction, or I was seeing the way things work. And when I'm saying that, it's like me, myself interacting or
Mm-hmm.
different ways to be doing my life. And so that was going on with me. But I did feel this sort of like if I had earplugs in or something, like I
Hmm.
just wasn't hearing.
Interesting.
And so it was kind of like quieted because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been home. I mean, I was home a lot because I was sick. And so I didn't really leave the house, which is strange for me anyway, because I'm always going.
You're always going.
Always going. It's rarely that I spend several days at home not and my car doesn't come out of the garage. But it feels that, 2024 transitioning.
So yeah, we talked about when we came on for the new year how things this year were definitely going to be different than the years prior, and how the energy would feel some certain sort of way. We weren't quite sure,
Right.
but I'm definitely feeling it. Like it was just a feeling those things were going to happen, plus some things I've read and seen, but I'm actually experiencing it, and there's just something
Just
brewing.
hang on and watch the movie and see what
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah.
and know the way that you just keep all your good coping skills and mechanisms and lean on them.
Yeah.
Have your tribe.
Yeah. Like I'm burning Palo right now. You guys can probably always see the smoke in my screen. Have Palo Santo burning. Let's keep
It's
that
so lovely. I love,
that
love, love
yumminess going.
that
So do
smell.
I.
It's good for cleaning the air.
Yes, we love the Palo Santo. Love it, love it. Soon, what I'm burning is like Palo Santo on a stick. So it's really easy. It lights really easy and stays going instead of like having to light the Palo actual stick over and over. You'll be able to buy it soon on the website. That'll be good.
How exciting.
But for other energetic maintenance things, you can visit thesacredraven.com, where I actually create sprays
The
and
best.
oils and all kinds of good stuff
I gave my
for
bottle
you.
of the spray, that my favorite spray, that it's Bless. I gave
Uh,
my bottle to my sister, and she was grateful that she had it because of some things going on in her world. She says, "Thanks for the Bless spray. It's been
ah,
helpful."
good. I love that. The Blessed spray is definitely one of the most popular. It is a ritual spray, so it's a really good spray for you to just spray through whatever routine or practice you have, or meditation or yoga, or just in your bedroom. People just like the smell of it and wear it as perfume or cologne.
Yes.
I like it.
Thumbs up on that one.
Yes, it's good. It's definitely good. Again, you can visit thesacredraven.com. It's a product line that I create from scratch. Downloads, make all my products on the new moon, the full moon, all the moon phases. It's good. Anyways, so yeah, the theme going into this week has been like that energy, but also I feel like it's very clearing. Like this is the year, like we said before, that things are going to be cleaning up. So
Yes.
contracts are going to be ending, relationships are going to be ending, jobs are going to be ending, friendships are going to be like all things are going to be cleaning up that aren't for your best and highest good.
I also feel like it's like the time when sometimes when you have to pay the piper and you can't put off certain aspects any longer.
Mhm.
And so where the waiting time is over and now it's like you've got to
Make a choice.
just yes. That's a good way to put it. And on several things, and that's really also in the mundane plane
Mhm.
that said, okay, there's no more kicking the can down the road. There are times where it just happens that can't kick the can anymore.
Mhm.
It's time to come where things come due, and you got to get real about it, and it's okay because it's helpful. Eventually you have to just stop putting it off and make a decision. Now, sometimes making a decision to end things or to just no longer keep the thing on your to-do list and just
Mhm.
really truly address the thing that is stressing you and
Mhm.
really just sometimes have solid, honest, sometimes really hard conversations.
Mhm.
My this time this what's currently going on in my family world. They're having a family meeting tonight, and so that's where it's like, okay, this conversation needs to be had. And my mom, the matriarch of the family, is having to do something that doesn't feel comfortable for her, but I'm proud that
Mhm.
she is standing up and doing some things and doing the best that she can. And it's really incredible to watch my mom and see my mom and see the woman that my mom is as well, and understand that that woman that happens to be my mother is just a woman also with her own challenges
Mhm.
and just doing the best that she can, and sometimes and just also coming to some terms of saying there's some things that she doesn't do so well.
Mhm.
And it's for me it's lovely to see, and for me to be able to have a conversation with her. I don't talk with my mom often, but I had a conversation with her last night where I told her something and she said, "That's very wisely put." I love my mom. I have more love for her, and I feel like more genuinely connected with her since I studied her design and the way that she operates, and
Mhm.
just really saw her as the person that she is and in that way, and it actually made me love her more because I feel like I could connect with her essence versus trying to connect with something that I would want her to be,
Yeah,
which is not her.
right. I really love you say the design, and for those of you who aren't aware, the human design. Natalie practice it. We both practice, but Natalie practices, teaches it, and does consultations and things like that during the daytime.
During the day. That
Anyway, when she's talking about her design, it really is amazing once you learn someone else's design so that you can have a better understanding of them, but also it gives you a better understanding of yourself in return because you let go of like expectations and any other underlying, more negative experience
yes.
because you're able to not set people up to be something that they're not, and you get to accept them for who they truly are. And I just think it's so neat. I am so happy with the human design. So grateful. It has changed me. I love it so much.
I have used lots of different modalities, and I do find that there's things like years ago we would talk about numerology, and when
Mhm.
I first was on the show several times, they knew me as the numbers lady, and that was really good foundation. And also, I still use my numerology. I was like,
Mhm.
I'm such a 4. I like my
Mhm.
foundation.
Yeah.
Especially if one of my best friends is a 5, and I'm just
Mhm.
not like her.
Yeah.
And so, I recommend whether it's the human design. So this is from now I've been doing my coaching practice and working with humans for a lot of years and interacting with people. And teaching different sorts of personality typing, and I've taught classes on it for years ago, starting years ago. I actually really recommend finding some sort of method to understand yourself or to understand other people, because that's just a little bit different than just general psychology,
Mhm.
where you're just trying to take some random character trait. I'm looking for something that gets a little more personalized, something
Mhm.
sometimes when you take those personality tests online, and they can actually be very insightful if you read about it. And I know that a lot of times it's new to you, but it doesn't take very much to get your general sense about yourself or about someone else,
Yeah.
and really see that in life and unpack that a little bit.
I think it's such a gift we can give to ourselves is learning, like truly knowing who we are. We're so interested in everyone else, but who are you? And do you know yourself?
Right.
Do you truly know every aspect of yourself and what makes you you? And I think there's so much magic into that. So many of us just exist without ever knowing who we truly are or even being interested in knowing. I did that for many, many years. I was just like, well, I'm just me. But there's so much more to each and every one of us.
Right. And that me is so often built off of what people told you that you are.
Exactly.
You
That's another
specifically, but other
aspect.
people, that's like you're being built from when you're little, and people are always teaching you from, we teach this to little kids,
Mhm.
toddlers, kindergartners, and they're always being instructed on how to be, how to
Mhm.
be, how to be. And so it just gets driven into us or conditioned into us
Mhm.
as we're growing. And then we have to unpack that and unwind it when we're not working for ourselves later in life. And we're just like, I don't get it. Think I'm doing everything I should be doing. And it's so anti our nature,
Mhm.
that it becomes either frustrating, makes us bitter. And so we don't have to do that. You don't have to. There's ways to do this. So I want to tell a little story about I had this one of my grief groups is always on Tuesday, and so it was a little bit of a different sort of session yesterday, but there was this theme, and so I'm also a little curious to see if this theme is running around in the air. But one of the themes was, okay, so it was like retribution and revenge. People were happy or wanting to get back at people that had done them wrong, or family members or something. And they were just looking at ways to get back. Or one of the men was saying, I finally got to see that it came around on someone that did me wrong. And I was like, oh, okay, this is not, one, didn't feel good
Mhm.
energy. And two, that's just not what I'm going to let just continue. Because
Mhm.
there is this group think that goes on. When you're in a group of people, if someone's not facilitating the energy, then different waves can catch on. And it's like, I don't need everyone going, this is the right way to be, and catch on that wave.
Right.
So I took two of the people and I gave them a water bottle that was full. And I had them hold their arm out and hold the water bottle. And they wanted them to keep their arm outstretched and straight. And I told them, it's not the grudge that's heavy, it's how long you carry it.
What a lesson.
And so one of the other ladies that was in there held out her arm voluntarily without a water bottle. And she's holding it and she's holding it. And it's probably 3-4 minutes. And then she's like, oh, this is like shooting up my back and it's going up to my heart. Yes. Holding a grudge will harden your heart. It will literally affect you physically in your heart space as well.
Mhm.
So it was it was really interesting for the whole group. But we had this. It doesn't usually end up being like a therapy sort of session. But I was like, all right, people, let's just get some things written down. Let's go for some things. And I have a co-facilitator that worked as a social worker, and he was in DCFS, so he worked with that work. And at one point later in the group, he said, "Now I'm hearing that there's grief and I'm hearing that there's anger." And he said, "Anger is different than grief. Anger is like from trauma or from things, if someone did you wrong." And so he was pulling it out. And he said, anger is like a behavioral thing.
Mm.
And so
Unless you're a manifester.
then it's, well, then it's your not self theme and it's still a behavioral thing. So I took pondered for a minute because I'm just so used to being my flow and facilitating the way that I facilitate. And I do have a particular way of viewing things. And I listened to him and it was like, so if you're finding yourself overly and overly and overly angry, there's some healing work, and it shows you that it isn't so much, while it might be an emotion when you're grieving and going through things, it also is a sign. And so I did my pitch. Like, here's my pitch. If you need to have therapy, there's only so much a group can do, but there is something to be said by investing in yourself and finding a good coach, a good therapist, a good
Mhm.
something to help you literally unpack the bags and eliminate that stuff. And it's really not healthy to hold a grudge. It's really
Mhm.
not healthy to keep your backpack full of all these grudges and things that you hold on to for an extended amount of time.
Right. And the power of forgiveness is
Oh,
along the same lines, right? Like, that's one thing that I had to go through in my life. I had to for myself, for my own peace and sanity,
yeah,
and and set myself free. You talk about like holding the water bottle
right?
with an extended arm.
Mhm.
I just think anyone who's carrying around that way, like, really, there's so much peace and gratitude
Yes.
that occurs when you learn the act of forgiveness.
Yes. And that was a big thing, a root cause in a lot of these people,
Mhm.
in their frustration with family members and things, and that was underlying a lot of things. Do you
Mhm.
forgive to free yourself?
Mhm.
And there's this quote that goes around that says,
That's
"Look, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and wishing the other person will die."
Yeah, it does more harm to you than it does to
Mhm.
them. Most of the time, they're unaware that you even
Right?
have this issue with them, and you're just, like, drinking the poison all alone.
Oh, then maybe you've heard many of these things before, but it bears repeating again. That's like, let the negative things go.
I keep yawning, it's definitely energy. I am not tired. I'm
Releasing.
just saying that I guess it's one of those nights where I'm gonna yawn a lot. It definitely happens when I'm releasing a lot of energy,
Yeah,
feeling a lot of things. It yeah, welcome to this week.
right. We'll keep it moving on, moving on.
Well, we hope that you guys are joining us in one or all of the places to hear us live, which are KGRA Digital Broadcasting's Facebook or Rumble pages. Also, X, Twitter, X. They call it X now.
Yeah,
It's confusing. But best of all, visit live.kgradb.com. That's where you can watch our show live right on the broadcasting station. And also there's a chat room there. I think most people hang out in the Facebook and Rumble. We're we really would like to get you guys to move over to KGRA, but you can hang out in any of the places you feel comfortable. We're on all of them, and I hang out with you there in the chat rooms as well. So if you have any questions, type them in caps. We'll be sure to grab them for our guest tonight. You definitely are going to want to stick around. This will be a guest that we have. Well, she's new, but the topic at hand, we've had topics similar, but nothing of her experience. And so I love that our show is so broad and we can interview so many different types of people with so many different human experiences. That's what the show is all about. But also the people who take their experiences that are more heavy and bring them into the light,
yeah,
and then make their passion into helping other people.
It's a way to make meaning out of
I love
crappy
it.
situations.
Yeah, definitely. It's so great. So stay close, everyone. When we return after the commercial break, we'll be able to introduce her to you. We'll be right back. And then there's that music that just makes me go,
Oh,
night night. And
ah,
I'm not even tired. It's just so relaxing. It's so good. Hello, Wanderers. Welcome back. I'm AJ.
and I am Natalie.
And we are your hosts of Soul Wanderings on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. We are really excited for tonight's guest, not because of what she's experienced, but because of who she has become and all the goodness
Yes.
she is bringing into the world. Sarah Lauren is our guest tonight, and she has bravely put herself into the world, opening up about her journey in overcoming sexual exploitation and reclaiming her personal sovereignty. She has turned her pain into power and is showing others how to do the same. I love strong women. Let's bring
Yay.
her on. Hello, Sarah. Welcome to Soul Wanderings.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited to have you here and learn all about you. So, you've gone through quite a journey, and I'm sure we'll hear about some of it or whatever you're going to share with us. But most importantly, the work that you've done since your experiences. But before we do, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself from your own words?
Okay, yeah. So I'm a new author. I decided to get my story out there into the world because I feel like this issue of trafficking is far more close to home than we realize. And through my experience, I took it allowed me to take a path towards healing that has opened my eyes to what I like to call divine reality. So I just wanted to share what happened and also bring awareness to this issue, but also to show people that anybody can heal from anything, really.
Yeah. Isn't it awesome how much power we have over our healing?
Yes. And I was listening to some podcasts of yours the last couple of days, and it seems we have a lot in common, AJ, because you like dance parties and mirror gazing.
Dance parties are the best. They're super healing.
They
That's
are
how I've gotten through some of my most challenging times. When in doubt, dance it out.
exactly. Yeah. I had a dance party while I was getting ready to come on the show.
Oh,
Awesome.
yay.
Yeah, good energy.
So.
You got it. I love it. So, going back as far as you feel comfortable, what is your story, Sarah?
So I was adopted at age 5 because my biological mother was too ill to take care of me. That's all I knew. And I always wanted to find her. I was one of those adopted kids who just had to know where I came from. So I reconnected with her when I was 18. And that's when the grooming process started. So she told me about her experience with prostitution in New York, and she made it seem fun and normal. And my background, a little bit about my background, I knew nothing at this point about sex or drugs or anything like that. So it was very different for me, and so I think I heard you guys were talking about forgiveness before, and that's a huge part of my story as well, because I understand that she had a certain set of programming that led her to be kind of living on autopilot the way that she was. But she introduced drugs to me. I'm not sure at which point she put GHB in my drink, but that's a date rape drug, and she put that in my beverage, and she showed me how to smoke methamphetamines, passed it to me and said, I said, what is it? And she said, just do like I did. You'll like it. It's fine. And I was just naive. I think the human mind is not fully developed until you're 25. And if you're in a sheltered home, you're not going to understand these things. So I don't remember days, weeks, months of my life, but I remember coming to in a studio apartment, and there was a girl and a guy on the bed, and the front door was nailed shut from the inside. So that was unusual. So I got out of there. I somehow got the board off, and I called for help, and I got into a safe house for women leaving their traffickers. So that was the most dramatic part of my story, but it did lead to about a decade off and on of addictions until I hit a breaking point. And so I was pregnant with my second child, and I just decided I can't do this anymore. I can't live this way. I have to stop. And that's when I decided, and I made that choice to surrender. I think it was a surrendering of my ego. And it's been a slow process ever since then. That was 2019. So since 2019, I discovered various healing modalities, and it's been amazing. I'm just so grateful that I've been able to reach this level of awareness, and I still consider myself like a spiritual baby, but I just know there's so much more. And yeah, it's really exciting.
I love that you're excited after going through such a big ordeal in your life. I mean, that's a really big ordeal. I know we all go through different challenges, and how we come out of them speaks volumes about who we are. But you went all of these years going through this experience, and then going through the healing process. What was the major pull for you to share your story and write a book about it?
Well, I discovered a plant-based medicine, and I started doing assisted therapy sessions. And at first I just wanted to discover who I was. I wanted to meet my higher self. But at a certain point, I realized I've got to share this. I mean, this is why I'm here. You know, I came to believe that I chose to be here at this time, and to help raise the frequency of the planet, to spread love, to spread hope. And this is a story that I have, just my specific backdrop to do that. And I know I was really excited last year when The Sound of Freedom came out. So it is a huge issue, especially actually in the United States as well, not just globally, and not just people that are kidnapped, but like 1 in 6 runaways in the United States become trafficked. And they're between the ages of 13 and 25 typically. So there's like 4.5 million victims worldwide, and that's just what's reported. So I felt like it was important to hear a perspective from somebody that isn't dramatically kidnapped, but, you know, like my mother was the one that instigated it. And that is actually most common. It's most commonly in the United States, either a family member, an intimate partner, or an employer that is the trafficker. So what do you do after? Like, where do you go? And the aftercare piece is kind of something I'm exploring. I've been able to do it myself, but how do we bring that into our society? Because I don't think that some of the traditional strict religious based modalities really work.
Hmm. Okay, I have so many questions, so many directions I want to go. This is okay. So, first of all, this topic is super important to discuss. And a lot of
Mhm.
people get uncomfortable talking about it, as I'm sure you have noticed. Um, this platform, everyone here is safe to talk to, Sarah, just so you know. You can be comfortable with us. You're in a safe place. Um, Second, the statistics are probably very modest
Oh, for sure.
because there are things happening like right in front of us and we have no idea because we're just conditioned not to see it or to look the other way, not to ask questions. Um, I've known several people who've gone through similar experiences as you, and some haven't recovered as well. And the sad truth is, um, there are just so many men and women who are going through or have been through these experiences. So the fact that we're talking about them first, thank you for your courage to come forward and share your story and be brave in the delivery of what you experienced. I can't even imagine. And we're just really grateful for it. But I think it's important that we talk about the statistics and what could people look out for? How could they know that it was happening before, things really did take place? How do they know they're being groomed? How do they know um, that something like this could happen just like with the flip of a switch? Because it does sometimes happen that easily, just like with you.
I think it starts with education, and because society has so much programming through the media, mainstream channels, and I think we are slowly moving away from this, which is a good thing. But women being commodified is popularized in media, and decentralization, I think, is going to be one of the ways that we as a society break free from this disease, because it's really a collective issue. I think everybody is affected by it on some level. And I don't know exactly how it works now because that was a long time ago. But I think it's important. Like I don't know what platforms are even used anymore. I think a lot of it has gone underground.
Mm.
But if we can teach children, young adults, people in general, how to feel safe within themselves and to trust themselves, it'll be a lot harder to groom. Because if you educate people, well, grooming looks like if you feel like, how do you feel in your body when somebody is demeaning you, even just verbally, or telling you something that makes you feel uncomfortable? Are we educating people enough to recognize the felt sense of something that is unsafe?
Mm.
And there's so much I need to learn too, because we weren't taught that in this age. This is all new information for everyone. And, but there's a lot of things to look out for. I think it starts with teaching people how to trust themselves. But beyond that, if you're looking at young adults, what are they consuming? What are the channels they're plugged into? Is your 14-year-old playing Roblox? Are they unsupervised? Could they be texting strangers and you don't know about it through Snapchat or whatever the platform is? There's new platforms popping up all the time. So how do we unplug from that and have accountability with minors, but not even just minors, people that are young?
Mhm. Well, also, I've even heard of reports of even older people getting trafficked, like in their, you know, late 20s, early 30s, or even
Mhm.
older than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the Ukraine, remember last year, when the war in the Ukraine was really bad, that was a big problem, trafficking, just desperate women. I'm sure some men too, but definitely like there were situations, I don't know if you followed any of the news around that, like through BBC, but there would be situations where to get out of the territory, uh, women would be offered the opportunity to just sell their bodies in order to get out of that situation, and that was normal.
Yeah. It seems to be normal in a lot of places,
Well,
unfortunately.
it is one of those they reference like the oldest profession, and there definitely has this
Mhm.
other side to it. But so some of the things that I'm hearing you say, Sarah, that taps into. Now, I haven't had any particular experience myself with that. I just because I've had some sexual stuff when I was young that didn't go to any of that extent. I always thought, well, maybe that's just an aspect of being like growing up, that there's this sexualization that happens, experimentation, um, different things like that. Um, but I do, in my own frame of reference, want the empowerment, like taking back our sexuality, the ability to own it. Of course, because I'm a woman, and like that ability to own my body and have sovereignty over my body, and having that educated. Is that part of what you um, are looking at as far as like how to like lean into that? Is to, if we were to educate, we would educate on like claiming our body as our sovereign space and nobody else gets to use it, and it's not a commodity, it's not an object.
Yes, and how do we even create that education? I think just I'm at the stage of just bringing awareness and talking about it, and I'm still learning how to do this. But
Right.
part of my journey, when I started the assisted therapy sessions, I made it one of my first intentions was to meet my higher self. I wanted to know who I am because I was reading about the Oracle of Delphi and the Gospel of Thomas and all these different ancient texts that talk about the importance of the higher self. And I thought, well, I need to know more. And it's like I woke up from a dream and I realized that I am sovereign and that I do choose my reality. But I didn't know that before. How do you get to that point where how do you get to that point of remembrance is the question. How do you educate people that way to wake up to divine reality?
Well, I don't know exactly how people have to wake up. They kind of have to wake up themselves. In my experience, I have not been able to wake anyone else up but myself.
Right. Yeah, maybe it's just one of those things like it happens when it's meant to happen, whatever that means,
Yeah,
right? You hear that saying, but we don't even know what that means truly. But some of us go through so many things, and sometimes they're like even on repeat, just different people and circumstances
right.
until we finally wake up or whatever that looks like to the experience of, hey, what's going on here? I wanna know more. I wanna have a different storyline. I wanna know myself better so I'm not continually putting myself in these situations. I think that we just have these experiences that eventually hopefully land us to a place of the knowing, right?
Right. And then I do find that you affect the circle of influence that you have, interaction and contact with. So if you write this book, and then your book will get where it needs to go, and you don't need to
Mhm.
worry about once you evidently your job was to get the book written, and then to come on here and talk about it, and to see where you go from here, and it will all unfold as it needs to. You were given this experience, and then the healing, and then you get to influence everyone that you interact with. But maybe you don't have to worry about, it's not about the world, it's just about your world
Mm.
Yes,
for
heal
for each
heal
one of us.
yourself. heal the world, right?
Yeah,
Yes, maybe so.
I would think so.
I think so.
All we
Ha-
have control of is ourselves.
It's right.
So you wrote this book, Alchemizing Exploitation. First of all, that's a really awesome name,
Hmm.
title. You talk about your experience in the book and how it led you to healing. But what aspect of that journey through the experience or the aftermath of what what was it exactly that led you to the healing? What made you want to alchemize your experience?
At first, it was the choice. I made a choice to do it. The desire to continue increased with time. But I remember when I made that decision, I was taking pharmaceutical medications and I cleaned up my act completely. I stopped taking the pharmaceutical medications. I stopped drinking alcohol. I just stopped everything. And that was, I settled into that for a while. And then I discovered different supplement things that could help me bring my body back into homeostasis. And I tried that. And then I got a natural biological nudging to increase what I was doing. Like all of a sudden I had this urge to drink clean water. I had to drink pure water. And so I went on Amazon and I got a water distiller and I started with that. So I was drinking clean water. And then really just last year, I got into more supplements that I realized would repair my DNA. And I don't know how I knew this. I don't have a medical background at all. I just had these urges, or I had a dream. A friend of mine and we had a dream the same night about the same thing, and we called each other. We're like, "Did you wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning?" Yeah, me too. And she said, "Okay, I've got a list of supplements we got to take." And I was like, "I know, it's so important that we repair our DNA." Out of nowhere. So it was kind of like the decision I made slowly over time allowed me, like, each stage of the journey was in front of me. And then I took the step, and then the next step appeared. And then I took that step, and the next step appeared.
As it works.
It's so good.
Yes.
You never know where you're going.
No, I don't have any idea where I'm going.
No, but the neat thing is that you're in tune enough with yourself and trusting the promptings that you're receiving. You're listening to your intuition and your guidance system and following through with that. That's the beautiful thing about when you get in touch with yourself and you do the healing work, and those voices, those nudges, they get louder.
Yes, they do.
Natalie, yeah. This is what we do all day, Sarah. We talk about this kind of stuff. It's so much fun.
It's like,
Let's
and my
talk about
intuition.
healing.
Yes, and yes, let's talk about feelings. Let's talk about intuition. Let's talk about all the different ways the intuition is. Let's teach each other about clearing spaces. And it's nice
Mhm.
to have a group of people that are there nudging you along and like cheering you on, and they want your growth just as much as you want your growth.
Mm. Yeah, and friends that have the same dreams as you, and you guys can call each other up and talk about it. It's so good. I just want to refer everyone while we're hanging out with Sarah. Her website is iamsarahlauren.com. Go and take a visit. We'll tell you a little bit more about her as we continue to wander with her we have another hour to wander with you, Sarah. I know you have some beautiful things to share through your alchemy. I'm really excited to learn more. For all of you wanderers, stay close. We're going to come right back. Hello, wanderers. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings. I'm AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And we are hanging out with Sarah Lauren tonight. She's the author, brand new author of Alchemizing Exploitation. And it's all about her personal journey in overcoming sexual exploitation and reclaiming her personal sovereignty. And it also gives us an opportunity to talk about this topic, which is out there in the world. Things are happening. And also the healing aspect of it all, like recovering from those more challenging experiences through different ways. I know you've tried all different kinds of things, Sarah, it looks like. So we're going to get into that a little bit more so we can maybe get some ideas for our own personal healing journeys. As we move forward, you said that you had, I don't know if you're currently or if it was a past thing, but you had experimented with, you said plant medicines. Can we talk more about that?
Yes. So psilocybin assisted therapy, that's what I discovered. And yeah, I really feel like it's some kind of an alien plant that shows you the truth, honestly. But I worked with it in a lot of different ways. Some guided, some intuitively, like inner child healing. There, I was able, that was not something I was taught initially. That was something that just naturally happened. And
What was the catalyst to take you down that road versus, traditional therapy or something like that?
yeah, I mean, I had done traditional therapy before and it was odd to me. I thought, So when I see a mainstream psychiatrist or therapist, they prescribe me these medications that turn me into a zombie and I can't take care of my child and this isn't working.
Mhm.
Help. And then later I found out it was depleting like many of my nutrients in my body, completely depleting them and chock full of heavy metals. So actually, the way I came to hear about that was through a friend of a friend. And they just said, "Oh, have you heard about this?" And I said, "Oh, no, it's interesting." So I researched it. I watched some documentaries about it. Fantastic Fungi was one that I watched. And then I figured out how to find that modality and work with somebody, and that's how I started. It was not something I went looking for. It just kind of happened, and then all of a sudden I thought, wow, mushrooms really can change the world. This is amazing.
Yeah. I'm a fan of them used medicinally for sure.
Yeah.
They've done so many beautiful things for people. With your history of substance abuse, how were you so open and receptive to taking medication from a therapist and also even experimenting with psilocybin?
So when I really made that decision in 2019, I actually stopped taking the medications. And the psilocybin, I've always been kind of a research nerd. So I did a lot of research on it and I felt good about it doing it. I was nervous. Sure, I was nervous, but it after the first session, I could feel I felt so much more whole. I hit what some people call the black mirror. So, at first there was like that altitude sickness feeling where you start laughing. But then, and I had my intention because I knew about it was the mindset, and I had a guide and facilitator there and everything. Um, but I hit this darkness, and it was. I feel like I'm maybe clairsentient because I feel everything. I don't see a lot of stuff or hear a lot of stuff, but I feel everything. Like I feel information sometimes. It's weird. But I hit this black mirror, and it felt like all the yucky stuff I had ever experienced in one moment. And I had to go into it. I had to like go further into it and become it. And then it felt like I was in glass, like that feeling where you want to scream, but you can't scream for some reason. I felt like screaming. And I was completely numb and silent and hidden. And I just looked at my guide like with a tear and said it was so horrible. And he just said, "What are you going to do with it?" And I said, "I'm going to change it." And so I just like pushed it, and it just dissipated into nothing. So I think that's maybe alchemy right there. So that's why I use that word, because we're all alchemists, right? When we heal, we turn that into something better, and then it becomes the fertilizer, right? This out of the mud of samsara stems the lotus of awakening. Um, but yeah, so I pushed it away, and then all of a sudden, it was like the veils lifted. I could see reality, or beyond reality, or whatever it was, and I was so relieved. I I was like, wow, all, all these petty little grievances I have in my daily life mean nothing. It doesn't matter. Like everybody's just walking around asleep. They're all asleep. This is amazing. and, and all this, so that experience was, intense and healing and so profound. But even after that, like the day after, I'm like, I'm going to be a vegan. I'm going vegan. And now, it's been a couple of years, and I grow my own vegetables, and I shop for organic. Like my kids make fun of me. Oh, it has to be organic. Even the candy's organic. But it started with that, and nobody told me to do these things. I just did them.
So it changed you profoundly, would
It
be
did.
safe to say.
It rewired me, my biology somehow.
You keep using the word alchemy. It's even in the title of your book. Will you define alchemy? Like, what does that mean for you?
It just means turning something that is undesirable into something better. But in the study of alchemy, you turn lead into gold. But what I think is interesting about that, and the research I've done about DNA repair, again, I'm just a baby, but gold, the the spiritual aspect of gold is light. Like the word gold is or in Hebrew, which in French translates to light. And I actually take gold, Ormus. I'm sure you guys probably take Ormus too, but um, it's like you can alchemize those heavy metals in your body even too. You're turning into gold, you're turning into light. You're using it as your experiences as fuel. You're transmuting it. And then it becomes like the fuel for your transformation or awakening, or it helps you remember.
Remember that you forgot.
Remember that you forgot. Exactly. Life is but a dream.
Is this what you're talking about with divine reality? You referenced that earlier. You want to, is that, so tell me more about divine reality.
It's funny because I go in and out of these moments where sometimes I remember, but then I forget. And then I have to, like, I go in and out. I'm not fully activated all the time. But what I mean is that it's like we're not separate. We, we're, we're all like divine, everything, and we're creating it, right? We are creating reality with our thoughts, which turn into words, which turn into actions. This is reality. We don't have to go outside we don't have to go to the doctor and wait for 5 hours in the sitting room to be prescribed an antibiotic that is going to make us sicker. We don't need to refer to, I don't know how uncensored this channel is, but
No, you're
yeah,
good.
we don't
Talk
need,
about all the things.
okay.
Wide open conversation.
We don't need to wait for politicians to fix our worlds. They probably would it. Like but we're creating our experience. And then I think you were talking about timelines with Nicole. I listened to that one. And Nicole Magic. It's like the more we heal, the more we jump timelines into a higher reality.
I think there's something to be said about what she said. Yeah, I think, but also the more you heal, the more closer you become to your higher self, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And our highest self definitely is not on this timeline. So it makes sense.
And well, or on this timeline, or so it's interesting when we say this timeline because which is
Where
this
we're
time? If we're,
standing
yeah,
in this current moment.
Are-
I don't know if any of us actually reached the truest, highest form of self in this human experience.
no, because I personally feel like the human body is its own experience, and our higher self is a collaborative or a joint, but it's not necessarily the point of being human. Being human is inherently limited because the spirit thinks it's fun to come here and have a human experience. It's a it's one of the it'd be fun, they said. Come and be a human. It's denser there. And you have limits. And you can work with matter on this. And this is where alchemy happens here on this earth plane where matter is changed differently than in the etheric realm.
Mhm.
All the things. So as I'm watching you, I'm remembering some aspects, and I'm not necessarily new at it, but I only know what is within my realm of experience. But putting these ineffable, indescribable topics into words can be difficult. And just like, I don't know, it's just all us. And it seems so elementary after you wake up. And it's not necessarily elementary to everyone in this world. It's like, yes, we're the creator. And no. Has that been your recent experience?
Yes, I'm still navigating this as a new person to these things. I am so grateful and fortunate to have so many friends that I can talk to about these things, which is so surprising because I live in the middle of nowhere. Um, it's really kind of a miracle. But just speaking about these things, there are times when I default back to hiding and I can't find my words, and like my throat seems to be closing down and I can't speak. Like right now, I'm having this conversation with you at a friend's house because I don't, I don't want to, certain people, even that are close to me, they can't, they're not there. They can't understand because I think it's because even your biology is connected to being able to access a higher level of consciousness that is needed to discern the truth.
Mm. What do you feel about that?
Well, it reminds me of along the journey that I've been on is some you people end up moving away or you end up moving away from people or not everyone makes the cut. This is different language for it. So when you're talking about the biology needs to change and you're affected, you're biologically or anyone is biologically affected by the people that we're around.
Mm.
And so that is that what you're saying is like you can't be around the people that have always been there because they affect you?
Or they have no understanding and capacity to support you from where they're at.
That is a really interesting concept, Natalie. I've not heard that before. Like I would like to hear more about people affecting your biology by being around you. I meant like literally our DNA, like on a cellular level. If we have a state of disrepair cellularly, we are not able to literally vibrate at the frequency required to access knowledge. But what do you mean about biology affecting?
So if uh finding the words on that. It kind of it goes along. So I've studied human design and I there's a lot of things that come out of that about the mechanics of being human that I tap into that says we're always affected and there's areas within our mechanical humanness that are open to conditioning all the time. And so other people and their auric energies condition. So we condition each other all the time.
Mhm.
And if it's the right conditioning, then you get where you're going. If you're if you're in the wrong places and you're getting the wrong conditioning from people, then you would end up being stuck or you would end up being heavier or denser, which could lead to some of that DNA damage because the way that our DNA gets damaged really is a mystery. It's from trauma, it's from frustration, it's from all the different aspects. And if you're not in the right place and you're not listening to essentially your higher self, your intuition, then you get in these junked up places and it would damage your DNA. So I feel like it's not all separate, but it's be mindful. There's even some just very practical things that said the 5 people you hang out affect you the most. So are those the people you want to be like? Be around people you want to become like
Mhm.
because that's what happens. And as you wake up, then you have to start making different decisions and your life does change.
Mhm.
And that could be scary. And I think that's why a lot of people don't necessarily want to take those steps into that. You said it was even in the therapy and in your that you had to make the choice. What are you going to do with that? And then you
Mhm.
made a choice to step into it and step away instead of away from it.
Yeah, lean into your experience. That human design that you mentioned, I that's very interesting. I want to find out what my human design is. I just heard about it recently.
It'll change your life.
Yes.
We
I
practice our design
all the time.
on the daily.
I'm writing this down. Vibes.
Well, you can actually make an appointment with Natalie. If you
Yes.
stay with us after the show,
That's what I do.
after we close the show, we can give you some information.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It is life altering. Listeners, if you're listening, you hear us talk about human design quite often. If you want to
There's
know more about yours, Natalie is your girl.
So I am curious, Sarah, what was your experience like writing the book?
Yeah, like reliving everything.
It was tough. I was at the time that I was writing it, my inner child was greatly triggered in writing it, and also I was attempting to date somebody at the time that was very triggering, and I would get triggered, and then I would do something, like whether it was breath work or a heart meditation or a microdose and guided meditation. I would do something, or inner child work. There was like a lot of work that went into writing it, because I would have to step away and do that, and then ask myself, okay, this is happening in my outer reality. What is the lesson? What can I learn here? And how can I incorporate that into what I'm writing? And it honestly didn't take that long, though. It's a short book, and it only took about 9 months to do that process. So it felt a lot like what we were talking about, where the step appears in front of you as you take it the whole time.
So you were prompted to write the book. You didn't know what that would look like or how it would be, but you just trusted the process, and throughout the process, you were guided.
Right.
I love that.
Right. And then developed your practice. Like
Yes.
you had these turning to your breath work. How long have you been doing breath work or these meditations?
Breath work, a year. Very elementary, very elementary. Meditating a couple of years, but only the last 6 months or so regularly. I also do emotional freedom technique. I do that a lot now, like almost every day, sometimes twice a day, because I find it really helpful.
So do you want to tell a little bit more about emotional freedom technique? Not everyone knows all the
They may
language,
know it
so
by EFT.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, EFT. Yeah, you just tap on your meridian points and pick a phrase and say it out loud. So like, I am whole, I am safe, I am home. That's my phrase for today. I
Yeah.
did it this morning. I'll probably do it again tonight. And as you're tapping, I do it 3 times on each meridian point. Like, this is the first one. I am whole, I am safe, I am home. I am whole, I am safe, I am home. I am whole, I am safe, I am home. And you go through your different meridian points,
Mhm.
tapping. And you don't notice right away instantaneous manifestations of the phrase that you're somehow integrating into your body. But over time, like maybe in 5 days, you might look back and say, oh, wow, I am embodying this. I am whole, I am safe, I'm home. This is amazing. I feel amazing.
Mhm. It really is a powerful technique.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love the tapping. I think it's so beneficial.
I have a fun little story about EFT. I was going to college later, like in my 30s, going to college. So I had to take some like 960 math classes, algebra classes. And there I had, since I was going at night, I had these adjunct professors, and one was like a junior high math teacher, and he actually used EFT with us before testing
Oh,
us.
cool.
He had us tap on the meridians and do some cross-body thing and then take the test. It was fun to, like, see that brought into a classroom and to quell the anxiety before you take a quiz or a test.
We talk about tools being in the toolbox. It sounds like you have tools in your toolbox that are assisting you in your healing journey. Think that's awesome. When you were writing your book, first of all, was the main mission of your book to write about your story, like to get it out into the world? And if not, what was the main mission? But also, how did it turn into being something, if that wasn't in the intention to begin with, of um talking to other people about the alchemy, about like turning that pain into power, about turning your experience into something positive?
Um, how did how did I make that kind of a central theme?
Well, was that your intention to begin with, or was your intention just to write your story?
My intention initially was just to write articles that showed how psilocybin assisted therapy can really help like severe trauma
Mm.
and to just, raise awareness around this issue. Then I started writing and just little eventually I realized I should just tell my story, like just get it out there. The issue for me, it wasn't really an issue and it really didn't take that long, but it felt like in the moment that it was unfolding, the hardest thing was wanting to hide. I
Mm.
wanted to hide. Like I wrote an article about that out of the closet. And I would write and just like kind of dance around the point until I finally said, okay, fine, I'll just say what happened. So I was trafficked by my birth mother, and here are the statistics. And then and as I was writing it and researching statistics and then writing about my experience and weaving it together, and then also supplementing and repairing my DNA and getting these downloads of information that I could feel in my body. I was studying alchemy as well and realizing that what is it? Is it called monochromatic gold that is in scalar energy machines? It's a type of gold that
I think you're right. We had a guest talk about the scalar energy.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
sometime.
yeah, and it transmutes the air, all the chemtrails and everything, and it makes
Mhm.
clean air. And it just felt like that. It just felt like I was turning over and over these experiences, and it was alchemy. I was doing inner alchemy and alchemizing my exploitation. And I thought if I put it out in the world, then I can inspire other people to alchemize what's going on. Even on the other side of it, if you think about men that, or not just men, but people that are consuming the products of sexual exploitation, whatever method they're consuming it in, they're also programmed and conditioned. So, how do we transmute that? How do we bring awareness and healing in that area too?
Mhm. I think that is probably the bigger question at hand. It's such an epidemic. It's such a big thing and so easily obtained that it just affects so many humans.
It does, and it's actually since, and it isn't just men, but there is a bulk of um, the consumer base that is men,
Mhm.
and
It affects
to
everybody.
yeah, and it changes us. It's a tricky thing to know. Just that I don't really feel like there's a solution. It's just worth the fight,
Mhm.
and so learning how to overcome the shame, because I would imagine that was a big part of your journey, is to overcome the shame of the experience. And are you do you feel like you've alchemized the shame of the experience? Um, or you're still working through that?
I think I'm still working through it, but I've come a long way.
So, Sarah, can you explain to us, maybe, I mean, just for the listeners, is there a difference between sexual exploitation and sex trafficking, or is an umbrella term for many things?
It's an umbrella term. So exploitation, it encompasses trafficking, but also just all of humanity energetically, I feel, is being exploited for their sexual energy on so many levels. And it's not just how women are viewed, it's how we approach the topic of sex and interpersonal relationships and being programmed to believe it should look a certain way, which is not necessarily helpful, where like you have the typical male power dynamic and the woman is just there to be the man's commodity and be complicit. So I wanted to give it the term exploitation so that more people could connect with it, because it's not just somebody that's trafficked. It could be somebody that feels pressured into doing things they don't want to do.
Hmm. Yeah. There's many different definitions, right, of what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because this is like I said, it's happening like right in front of our eyes, and so
Oh,
many of us don't even understand or even understand that it's happening to us. I know I know I'm not generalizing women and men. I mean, this happens to all people, but
right.
as a woman, I only have my experience.
Right.
And there are so many times where we just kind of laugh things off because it's uncomfortable, where we don't use our voices to say that's not okay, right? And something as little as that being uncomfortable on up is some kind of exploitation, in my opinion. How many times have you been uncomfortable? A lot.
Uh-huh. I did a really interesting practice just last week, actually, where I thought about what if I had a community and I could organize how I was raised within the community around the topic of sexuality, what would that look like? How would I feel being raised in this community? What would the conversations be like? What would the level of acceptance around the topic be like? And what would I embody in myself? And just describing this community. So I recorded myself describing it for like 15 minutes and listened to it every day for 5 days. This is part of, I'm actually in a year-long program right now to go through more layers of healing. And this is part of that.
So what is that doing for you?
Helping with the shame that's, gosh, it's like I was programmed where I have to, like even in a marriage, I have to do certain things. And also on the other side of it, that my sexuality is shameful. It is not. It is not shameful. It is like a form of worship, honestly. So overcoming the shaming programming, right, and societal conditioning, and reclaiming what I know within myself. This is part of going within and knowing yourself. What do I know to be true? And I'm rewriting the story.
Did you want to share what your society would look like?
I don't know if I'm ready to share that. It was hard enough for me to record it for myself, but it's definitely a good exercise if your listeners want to practice doing
That would be that makes sense. That would be part of coming up with a different society is you literally need to rethink each person or within your own framework. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know that families all the time do that. Like moms and dads and raising little kids, and then they use books or different things and never like go through an exercise like that to say, how will we share
Mm.
what sexual and sexuality and but we're undergoing an interesting time right now because there is such a this gender fluidity and our there's a lot going on currently with sexuality and gender and what that looks like or what it doesn't look like or all the ways that it could look. It's undergoing a metamorphosis now, I think. Whether what that will look like through these next several years is going to be interesting to see.
Mhm.
Tucked with all this. So last year I attended a conference that was that was a local to my area conference about sexual trafficking and
Mm-hmm.
trauma. And they had several different. They had a panel of people, and one of the ladies was older, and she was trafficked by her boyfriend and taken to Mexico and trafficked there. So he would take her. He was a trucker, and he would take her and then bring her back. And she was just basically, um, she had a regular job and doing things, but then trafficked. And that was surprising to me. And the keynote speaker was a woman who was groomed by her nanny. And so she was sexually exploited by a woman. And that was different. That was a different story, too, to be a teenage girl and her parents had gone through a divorce and her dad had hired a nanny and then to have those stories and I hadn't really had any experience listening to anyone that had gone through exploitation or trafficking and it was really an eye opener to me to see people in the same room as me having gone through this experience and going through their healing process and struggle on how to work through those wounds and then have a room full of people show up to talk about the situation and just so I bring that up to say there is a level of awareness being raised at least in my local area where they had this symposium several hours long symposium with people and taking the lid off of it and exposing it and saying, "We're gonna work on this.
Mhm.
We're gonna do better."
Sarah, if you were in an environment like that where you were, speaking and sharing your experience, well, you are right now in a way. What's some advice that you would give to other boys or girls that are possibly being exploited? Like what's some things that you would say to them right now?
I would say, gosh, I would say the first thing that's important to realize if you're currently in the situation and something inside your soul is saying no to the situation, and you're telling yourself, but I have to because just know on some level that's not true. You can always create something different. And I know there's all sorts of different logistics that go into this, but I need the money for this, or I need to do this, or I can't do this. But, it, if you're not being physically trapped, right? Um, but if you lean into the scariest parts of the story that you're telling yourself is stopping you from doing from getting out of what your body and something inside of your soul is telling you no about, just take the step in front of you. You don't have to know the whole story, how it's all going to work out. But if you have moments of clarity, opportunity arise, just follow that. Because once you take that step and you decide, I'm going to get out, I'm going to be free, I'm going to learn how to believe that I am worthy of something different and discover what my truth is,
Mhm.
it is possible. I didn't know. I'm still on the journey. So,
I love everything that you said, but for me, like, I've been through a lot of trauma, and when
mhm,
you're, like, in the thick of the trauma, that
mhm,
mindset is not there, right?
that's true.
So, I hear you, and I think it's beautiful, but, like, in the thickness of a very traumatic experience where you're living in fear and you don't see opportunity to get out. But like there's that one glimpse of hope that you have that, you know, someone's going to leave the door open and I'm be able to walk out, or this person's like like maybe one day just going to stop being in my life, or whatever the situation is that they're in. Like, how does someone hold on long enough to fight for themselves in those moments of deep trauma?
I think that's a case by case. I think that's a case by case situation, but maybe if they just use their it's going to sound silly, but use their imagination. Like, there's a hero inside of all of us. If you can't figure out a way to go through the open door, right? Maybe just in that situation, dissociation is a thing. You have to dissociate to survive. And so I think that's why it's so hard for us to find our voices after,
Mhm.
because we're used to putting on masks and being whatever the person is. It's very easy for us to read what the person in front of us wants. And so we
Mhm.
become a chameleon and we become what they want to see. And in that way, we're eternally camouflaged, right? So, but you can use that to your advantage. And you can, even if you're scared and fear and are not in that mindset, you
Mhm.
can just borrow that persona and wear it like a mask
Mhm.
until for the courage, like putting on a mask of courage. Like, what am I embodying right now? I'm going to embody Superwoman, Wonder Woman, whatever, and take this step, make this decision.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's I like that. What was it for you when you had the opportunity to walk out the door, find a way out? What was that like for you? What were you feeling and thinking in that moment?
The first time,
Uh,
the first time when I described the situation where I was in the studio, I was very confused. I remember thinking, I'm in hell. How did I get here? But I knew I had got myself there. But I was shocked.
mm,
So I didn't really, in that situation, I didn't really process it. But there were I there were many times I was in situations like that I put myself in, and um, I think it's okay to go back and forth. Sometimes we have to go back and forth and slowly kind of spiral out of something. There's no right way to be on a healing journey. You're just on a healing journey. But yeah,
I agree. I agree. I know that may have been a hard question. I mean not hard as in a hard question, but like hard to process or go through. Anytime we ask a question that doesn't feel comfortable, you can just say pass.
Okay.
We're okay with that.
Okay.
It's a lot to process and a lot to share, and I know that this is all very new for you to put yourself out there. Um, but speaking of putting yourself out there, what has it been like? You've been on a few shows so far, you've written the book. What has been the overall receiving messages that you've gotten, and how has that also assisted you in your journey?
hmm So I feel like it's a different type of guest. I feel like I'm taking on this role that it's a I feel like I'm forging a new path a little bit, and I'm looking around. Is anybody else doing it? I haven't found them yet, but I would love to talk to other people doing the same thing that I'm doing. And it's really still working itself out how it's affecting my healing journey. I'm not sure I really know yet, but I know it's going to be overall a good thing.
Well, the fact that you put yourself out there for other people gives them permission to do the same,
hmm
right? So you have this powerful message that took a lot of courage to share that shows someone else, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. And it creates a ripple effect. I love when people share their stories. That's what this show is all about. We love the human experience stories because, I mean, Natalie has a past, I have a past. They both have been very different, but we've landed in similar spaces where we now assist other people in their lives, in their healing. Like I work through people with people through trauma. She works with people through grief. Like all things lead us to our purpose. All things as in experiences. And you don't know that until you start healing from those experiences and become so passionate that you're like, I have to help everyone else who's been through a similar experience as me. And that takes time. But you took the first step and you've put yourself out there. And so when you say it's just going to get better, I have no doubt about that.
Thank you. That's encouraging. Yeah.
Gets easier with practice too. The more you
Mhm.
have these conversations and um, you answer questions several times, and
Mhm.
it works out the kinks along the way.
Mhm.
That's good to hear.
Different parts of your story that it's helpful as it's interesting because it sounds like this course that you're going through where they give you assignments and they say, okay, practice this, practice this, practice this. That's part of what you'll get into promoting your book and answering general questions and pulling out
Mhm.
different aspects of your story and the healing part and getting more familiar with how to speak about it on a regular basis. I remember reading, was it your stuff I was reading? You were very, very shy.
Mhm.
Yes, painfully shy and socially awkward.
Did you overcome that?
I'm still working on it.
So it's like that is another aspect. So tell me a little bit about what that's was like for you as that's younger, and then how long did your shyness last?
What was that last thing you
So,
said?
what's what was your experience at being so painfully shy and then working on overcoming that?
Yeah, how did you find your voice?
I relate it to a dream. Um, I had an experience that was like a dream, and I was my higher self, but my higher self was a little girl, and she was hiding in a closet. And she heard her father's voice, or I heard my father's voice as my higher self just outside the door. And he asked, "Are you going to come out now?" And I said, "Am I in heaven?" And he said, "You've been here all along." And this whole process, like the last year, it's like just been me hanging out in the closet, but like slowly opening the door, peeking out there, like go on the other side of the door, stand there for a while, maybe go back in the closet for a little while. It's just this slow progression of I retreat back and go forward. And I'm sure a year from now it'll be totally different and I'll be a lot more comfortable and I'll be dancing and doing swirls around in the room.
Yeah, it's liberating. Do it
Do you resonate with that, AJ?
a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
this there's we run around as humans and with an inside experience and then an exterior, and only through conversations like this do we get little tiny glimpses into someone's interior experience, and then sometimes we go, "Oh, I can relate to that little
Mhm.
aspect that someone says something out loud." I find this so I have a suicide loss group that I do, and this last week, um, wading into some conversations, so it's not the same, but in a group full of people that have lost someone to suicide, there's a lot of difficult, traumatic, or icky sort of experiences that happen before a suicide loss, and or even that are particularly applicable to literally having the loved one die by suicide and the experience of that. And there was a couple people that told their stories in this group. And I found that if one person would tell their story a little bit, then the next person could be more comfortable. And the healing happens by opening it up, like exposing. One person needs to expose themselves a little, then another
Mhm.
person opens up, and then pretty soon a lot of people are having conversations
Mhm.
about the difficult aspects and as a group and as a whole. And this is what I feel like you're after with your book, is that you're like, "Okay, I want people to crack open, and so I've gotta crack open and open it up." And in my experience through these groups, it's so healing when people come together, and they don't necessarily like knowing each other because it means that something crappy happened. And so I'm sure as people reach out to you, you'll like, "I'm sorry that I have to know you, that you went through this and you relate to me, but I'm happy to know you because you're not alone."
Mhm.
And it's brave to be out there in the front and discussing it and getting more comfortable and saying, "Okay, guess what? Sexual exploitation happens.
Mhm.
And I'm here to talk about how healing happens too."
Yes.
Because it seems like in this human experience, suffering happens. It just does. And the bulk of our guests have had something really crappy happen that they then can build on and do the healing work.
Mhm.
We have to be initiated into something and start to remember our light, lose our light, dark night of the soul, and then remember our light and then shine it, and then we get to pull people out of their dark nights. And that's the work that we're doing. Being
On
light warriors
repeat.
on repeat.
We don't just have a awakening and all is well in the world.
Right. Then you're like, "Oh, wait, there was another layer of
Wait, there's more.
ouchness that I've
There's
gotta
more. There's
clear."
there's more. Yeah. It's on a continual cycle. Um, Sarah, you have not just your book, your Alchemizing Exploitation book that you've written available, but you also have um, different different other offerings on your website. I am saralauren.com for those of you who like to check out her website. You have a 4-week course on holistic transformation. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that real quick?
Yes, this is a course for people who were like me, who are like, oh, I'm numbing everything with medications, alcohol, whatever it is, just a horrible uh, diet if they feel. And how do I start transforming and bring back that light, that glow, that vibrancy? Where do I go? Where do I start? So I put that into a course, starting with, of course, mindset and the power of thoughts, and going into supplementation and detox and a lot of different things, and just how to kind of bring your body back into a place of homeostasis, which is its natural state.
Awesome.
There's so
I got
much.
lost in her website. I'm like listening and I'm like, oh yeah, we're live.
Which is
I'm
that
just looking at all your stuff you have available. So many good things.
there's so much to know about that.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean,
I love the holistic healing. That's what I focus my all my whole life is all holistic now. Yeah. No, I used to be on a plethora of medication for a diagnosis, and then I went all holistic, and it has been the greatest thing ever. And I haven't taken a prescription in um geez, it's been almost 10 years, 9 years. So
Wow.
yeah, and it's really neat when you learn how to heal your body through different means, whether that be energy work or, different supplements or plant medicine or therapy or whatever that looks like, right? You find the thing that works for you and you do the work. And it's something super powerful you can do for yourself. And I love that you've done that. I love that you are learning to overcome your experiences and turn them into bright and shiny new ones. And it's really awesome that you put yourself out into the world. It, like I said earlier, it takes so much courage, right? It takes courage just to be yourself in a world that is just so conditioned not to, let alone share these heavier experiences that you went through. So, way good job, girl. Way good job.
Thank you, AJ. And thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you here. Those again who are wanting to learn more about Sarah, make sure you visit her website. Go ahead and share that with us one more time.
It's I am saralauren.com.
And it's Sarah, SarahLauren. And it looks like there's a way to contact you there, to shop there and grab your book. Are there any other places your book can be purchased?
Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and I'm not sure where else, but a whole plethora of places.
Oh, oh, good. Wonderful. Well, Sarah, remember to stay close after the show so you can chat with Natalie. And to all of you wanderers, thank you for being here with us tonight. We hope that you have been inspired to use your voice for the greater good, to lean into knowing yourself better and having the courage to show up for yourself. It's good messages tonight. Until next week, be good to yourself and be good to each other. And we will see you then.
have a good one.
Good night.